everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Open-Minded Chronicles. And I'm your host, Neil. I would like to thank everyone, including all my friends, Hipper Dave, and also my friend Fran from Price Paranormal. Welcome. Today's first episode, to usher in the new format, is going to be about the Greys, the extraterrestrial race from Zeta Reticuli, from the Reticulum constellation. Dave, first of all, would like to say that I really enjoyed your Hollowed Earth video, and I would like to make a few mentions that some of what you said about Mel's Hole does actually tie into some ufology. Mel's Hole, based on the research that I've done, besides some of the mythos, the Greys, based on what some of these scientists and even other Black Book Project retirees have said after they've come forward, is that the Greys, for example, have burrowed into the ground underneath the Earth's crust, and they have set up operations to clone their race because they are incapable of reproducing. Now, the research that I've done on the Greys over the past 15 years has uncovered some pretty interesting information. And really, a lot of the information that's been really useful has only been available in the past 5 years. Just recently, the Navy, the Air Force, and even the Marines and even the Army. We have generals, sergeants, people with, credentials, people who are reputable coming forward and releasing information about these beings, and even information about other extraterrestrial beings. And the information that I've found during my research explains a few different stories about the Greys and why they were here and still are here. Now, as most of us know, one of the biggest stories surrounding the Greys is the Roswell, New Mexico crash that happened in 1947. Now, there's no reason to really wax in that story because we all know what happened, the UFO crash, the cover-up, the weather balloon excuse, so on and so forth. But the thing that's real interesting, especially, is the recent development regarding the Draconians. Now, the Draconians control the Greys. Now, they are in the fourth dimension. Now, the fourth dimension is something that was uncovered by our government and these people who've come forward a very, very long time ago. And it's been documented during their research and just recently brought forward and laughed at by the scientific community. People who were either paid off by the government to just, to make them look like frauds, or even other sects of the scientific community that really knew nothing about it. Because the fourth dimension, based on this research and I've read, and even these people, is another dimension. And you will see later on, when I post up links, that the fourth dimension, and there are many dimensions based on what was just recently discovered by our scientists that was made public, and I'll get to that later, is another dimension, or multiple dimensions, other planes. And the Draconians live on this other plane. They are physical like us, but they are not physically here on our Earth plane, which is the third dimension. And based on the information that's been brought forward, the Draconians use the Greys to do biological experiments on humans. And it's also been mentioned that the Greys are more cybernetic, that they're not necessarily a full biological humanoid form, that they're more like machines, and the Draconians are using them to do their work. There's been other information that's come from resources that I could not validate, that the Greys are a different form of human from another dimension, not the fourth dimension, but alternate reality, because science has proven that we have multiple universes or parallels And the Greys are from one of those where the human race, has evolved to a point where we're incapable of reproducing. We are technologically more advanced, and the Greys had found a way to open up that rift and come into this dimension, the third. And they are using this version, us, the human race, and using our genes, our sperm, our eggs, our genetics to clone their version of the human race, which is supposedly of what they are, to continue on. But that can't be verified. But that's some of the information that's been floating around. Can any of it be truly verified? No. But there's one piece of evidence that can be verified. And you can even search this on the Discovery Channel website. Over the years, documentation has been slowly leaking out to the public about the existence of extraterrestrial races, alien technology, and even fourth dimension. And people wonder, why can't I see them? Why aren't they more visible? Well, Lazar, for example, and there's this whole controversy about whether he's legitimate, but I'm just going to use one example, and there are other legitimate sources that have also brought this forward. Interviews, interactions with other extraterrestrials have brought forth information that they travel through the fourth dimension. Their vehicles, they are capable of traveling in the fourth dimension. This is something that we cannot see with our own eyes. And this information has been documented for decades. However, this is something that's been kept secret for many decades by Black Book projects and also covered up by other groups. And then when the information is leaked out, these individuals have been made to look like frauds. But within the past year and a half, 2 years, it's been brought to our attention that the scientific community has proven that the fourth dimension exists. And just about 20 to 40 years ago, the government and the scientific community was trying to tell us it was a bunch of bullcrap. So that is one truth, one parallel that you can cross together. So basically that is one mistake that was basically overlooked. They were telling us that these UFOologists and these credible people that were sergeants, captains, astronauts, who said the fourth dimension was real, who researched the technology, who witnessed autopsies, who recovered information from living, breathing extraterrestrials, who said that they knew the fourth dimension existed, were made out to be frauds. They either ended up murdered, disappearing. The information was false, we were told. And now recently we're being told that the fourth dimension does exist. You need to open your mind about this and think, why were we told before it wasn't real? And now recently John McCain says that the American people need to know the truth about Area 51. It was on the news. It was all over the place. But then suddenly it was erased, like he never said it. It disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm telling you, the truth's coming. There is something going on. The Greys are no longer active. If you've noticed, people don't talk about them as much because from what I've researched, they finished their cloning. But there are plenty of other races still here. Some benevolent, but more benevolent. And it's one thing to live in a fantasy world. But ladies and gentlemen, this is no fantasy. Something's going on. And it's right in front of us. We just didn't realize it until now. Stay tuned as we talk about more in the next episode of the Open-Minded Chronicles.